Hello there. We recently visited the cruise port of Ponta Delgado, and this video is all about what we found. So if you want to know what it's like to visit Ponta Delgado on a cruise ship, then watch on. Hello, I'm Mama Jane's husband, and this is
Mama Jane.
And we're going to tell you about our cruise stop at Ponta Delgado when we were travelling back across the Atlantic on P&O's Arcadia, and we stopped off, and we were glad to stop off because we'd had 5 days at sea, hadn't we, Mama Jane? And it's been a bit of a rough crossing as well, which hasn't helped. So it was good to be back on terra firma, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
And it's a very beautiful cruise port to stop at. It's a breeze to stop at this one because you don't have to follow any directions. You just follow the path from the ship round the harbour, round by the sea. The sea's on your left, the town's on your right, and the path is actually there for you to walk along, and it's very pleasant. Lots of cafes, lots of bars and things like that. It's really
Shops
lovely.
and
Shops,
stuff, yeah.
Really well developed, well organised.
Cruise port area, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
And there's a tourist information place there, quite a big one, and also if you know you're going to Ponta Delgado, there are some trips that weren't on the shore excursions. There was some whale watching, for instance, and dolphin watching, and if you look them up before you go, you might well be able to book on some of them. And there might be some snorkeling trips as well that you can book on.
Because they actually said on the trip board thing, these are only available direct bookings as opposed to through a cruise. Yeah, so it's always worth.
So I think they were on TripAdvisor, weren't they?
I think so. The cruise, the P&O do lovely
shore
excursions, but these were separate things. You know.
And we decided that we could explore the port on our own and save a bit of money, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Help with Mama Jane's bar bill. So once you walk along the port path, and you'll come to the town area, and you can either go right along the path and you'll come to the museum and a couple of churches, or you can do as we did. You'll see a square area. If you go up the steps by that and cross over to it, you've got a nice little area. You've got these famous 3 arches, and just past that you've got a lovely cathedral, and there's coffee shops everywhere. Absolutely, loads of coffee shops.
And don't be thinking, I'll never remember whether he said turn right, turn left. Really, don't worry. It's very obvious. Yeah. And the paths are all beautifully. They're grey and white, all beautiful patterns. I think, have you got photographs?
I have got photographs on it.
And
it's very like when you visit Lisbon and
yes,
Madeira.
if you've been to Lisbon or Madeira, you'll think, oh, it's similar. It really is stunning.
Yeah, well, they're all Portuguese areas, aren't they? Lisbon, Madeira, Ponta Delgado, and it is very Portuguese, and they some places speak a lot of English, some places don't, and the museums are all in Portuguese. So we didn't visit them because we weren't sure what we were going to get out of them. But if you, the cathedral was nice to visit. There's no pictures because they didn't allow any, but I would say it was an interesting place to visit. And if you come out of there and then carry on up, going up, you will come to another photographic museum this time, which has got a nice little place to sit outside. And we had coffee there, didn't we?
Yeah.
There's a nice little coffee booth, and the coffee was of a great standard, weren't expensive. It was 180 euros each, so 3.6 euros for 2 lovely cups of coffee, which is not expensive, as you can imagine. And from there we were heading for some gardens, tropical gardens, no, botanical gardens. That's it.
Yeah.
And you wander up, and it's not easy to find the entrance, because you look as if you're going to some government building, which you are. But the gardens are around some sort of governmental building. So you where you see a barrier, you need to go in there, and as soon as you go in there and close to the barrier, then somebody will come out and assist you. And they spoke very good English, didn't they?
Very good. And it's €2 to get in, or if you're an old person, like what I am, it's only €1.
Yeah.
And you do have to take some form of ID, either your passport or a driving license, and they will check that out, that you are who you say you are.
And that's not just for an age check. That's, as you know, to check out you are, because you're going into a government area.
Yes, yeah. And it's absolutely beautiful. The gardens are just stunning, just stunning. There's also very nice lavatories,
which is quite important.
It's quite important. And they're beautiful.
If you're of a certain age.
They are lovely, and they're free. But the whole place was just so beautiful. I could have sat there all day on different benches. Just
we spent quite a bit of time, didn't we?
We did, yeah. It's absolutely lovely.
Lovely contemplative place.
Yeah.
And you'll see some photos of some very interesting plants. And then a nativity set up there, didn't they?
Yeah, which was made from just random foliage stuff. It wasn't a fancy blingy thing. It was. Have you got a photograph?
I have. It was made of stuff that had gone on the compost.
Yeah,
heap,
it was. Yeah, big leaves and things that would have just been thrown away.
Very clever.
Very clever.
We liked it a lot.
You'll see it. Yeah.
Liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Now, as we came out of there, we'd heard that a little way along the road there was another botanical gardens, and indeed there are. And it's another quite a nice area, because opposite it there's a main shopping precinct in Ponta Delgado. So that's actually, it's not far. If you wanted to go shopping and go to a shopping centre or shopping mall, then it's not that far from the cruise ship, really. And it's the other end of the botanical gardens. So we went in the botanical gardens, and these were really interesting.
And
weren't
these
they?
were free.
These were absolutely free. There's some amazing trees. There's roots of one tree. It's amazing. They are massive root
lovely.
system, aren't they?
The whole place was.
And there was Bilbo Baggins could have lived there. Is what I would say. And again, we saw some very interesting plants. And one thing we noticed is the bird of paradise plant, which is quite difficult to grow in the UK. Grows like a weed. It's everywhere. Grows like a weed in Ponta Delgado. It's quite surprising. So at first I was going crazy about taking photos of it, and then there was just bunches of it everywhere, you know.
And stunning.
Yeah.
It's just in bloom.
Yeah, it was quite stunning, weren't it? And then as we meandered down these botanical gardens, we came to a lovely cafe, didn't we?
We did. That was nice as well.
Which we had belly-busting pancakes at. It's the only way they could be described. They were so belly-busting that I couldn't finish Mama Jane's that she left. And I would normally finish whatever Mama Jane doesn't eat of anything.
They were quite amazing.
But I didn't manage it this time, did I?
No.
And we had some interesting ducks, didn't we?
There were ducks there.
Plodding around.
We didn't eat them.
We didn't eat them, no. But they kept coming to visit us, didn't they?
They did. And that was a nice place. Was the toilet nice there?
The toilet was, yeah. They'd made a valiant effort, shall we say. And then we came out of there and we meandered down some streets which weren't very touristy.
No.
And they're got to watch the traffic.
Yeah.
They don't understand speed limits in Ponta
I
Delgado.
don't understand. I don't think they have them.
I don't think they have them, do they? No. So
And the street's very narrow with no pavements. They're just like
very
a little-
narrow
But
pavements.
narrow, you know, like about 18 inches wide, if that. Yeah.
So just watch out for the cars
Yeah.
and the vans. They have wide vans on Ponta Delgado, just to warn you. And then we did come to the precinct, which is done out in these black and white tiles again, and or grey and white tiles. And they're a lovely little area, weren't it?
Lovely.
Again, lovely little area. We followed that all the way down to a convent area, and we convent area and a parish church round a square where they had a mobile ice rink set up, like you do.
In temperatures of goodness knows what.
Yeah.
Actually, it was cold
It
yesterday.
was cold
It
in
was
Ponta
only
Delgado.
16 degrees. So
Yeah.
if you're watching this in England, where it's much colder at the minute.
So we went in the convent chapel, and that was quite an amazingly interesting place.
Again, no photographs.
No,
so
we
we'll take our word for it.
yeah, but it was I thought that was a holy place in a way, weren't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and just like in Madeira, you see that the churches had a lot of black and white, I mean blue and white tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see these in Lisbon as well. So you'll see it again linking the three places, Lisbon, Madeira and Ponta Delgado, together. And same in the church. The church was okay, weren't it? It was all right. It was a fairly standard Catholic cathedral, I would say, or church, big church.
Big church.
And if you come out of there, then you carry on round and you come to the museum, but which is in Portuguese. So we didn't go inside, took a few photos outside, but actually it's an active military barracks as well. So there were soldiers on duty. So they were giving me the eye when I was taking the photos.
But they
around the
didn't
place.
confront you, did
No, they didn't. They
they?
didn't.
So I think it was all right, as long as you didn't do anything dodgy.
Across from there, there's a couple of statues to immigrant population, which are quite clever actually. I'll put the photos in, the way the angles of it work, quite clever. And then you're back on the path, which takes you back to the cruise port, aren't you? So we meandered back along the path to the cruise port.
Yep.
And now one thing is that on the tourist map that you can get, there's quite a few things on there which are shut, so you can only see the outside. So you'll see a church, for instance, marked, and you think, oh, this could be quite interesting. Why don't you turn up and all you can see is the outside because it's closed. So just be warned.
I think that's probably the same anywhere, really, isn't it? You know, it says something's there, but when you get there, it's shut.
Yeah.
So it's just always be aware that just because it's on a map doesn't mean
You're always got to be aware.
Yeah.
So that took us a long time to do. You know, we did 19,000 steps, I think. So it was a good visit, and it's a good solid day's visit.
Yes.
So you can spend a whole day in Ponta Delgado itself.
We did notice there was an outdoor swimming pool as well. Now,
Yeah.
I can't say any details about that because I don't know. I only noticed it from the ship when we got back on the ship. So check that out if you like swimming. But it was an outdoor pool.
And you can see it from the ship.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
So it's very close.
Yeah. And it's a big pool as well.
Huge.
Big pool. So that was it. So place well worth visiting. Not quite sure what you'd do if it were raining.
Ooh, you would get very wet.
Yeah. You'd have to do a cafe crawl, wouldn't you? Yeah, you do a cafe crawl
Yeah.
from one cafe to another cafe to another cafe, just drink
'Cause
lots of coffee and
whatever
eat lots
you've
of
gone on,
cake.
because some of the trips involve being up the mountains. So if it's foggy and rainy, you'll see nothing because you won't,
You won't.
and nobody can do anything about that.
No.
So
So that's it, our cruise trip to Ponta Delgado,
and now we're back on the ship.
and heading across the Atlantic
3 more days.
to dock at Southampton. When we'll be uploading all these videos really quickly. So it's a goodbye from
Me.
and it's a goodbye from
Him.
goodbye.